is going to be the biggest difference?
You know, again, and I wish educators would look at the positive spins of that. All these small towns and villages, they'll all keep their elementary schools, right? The elementary schools are not going to change. You're still going to have your elementary, your street schools, you know, your neighborhood schools. It's going to be more at the secondary level. And, you know, like I've had conversations with superintendents, you know, just in Cayuga County. We could open up multiple high schools. We could have a P-Tech high school. We could have an ag high school. We could have a performing arts high school. We could have a Pathway Regions diploma high school. There's so many different opportunities and possibilities. But again, it's about saving money. And if we don't start looking at it ourselves, and I said this a few years ago to you, the state's going to take control of it, and whatever the state tells you to do, you're going to have to do. I rather see, I like the merging is okay, but countywide school districts, I think, would be exactly what we needed. Our county, and I can only talk about Cayuga County, my superintendents are going to probably scream and yell at me, but, you know, we have under 10,000 kids total, right? Yeah. You got southern school districts, they have 200,000 kids in their county school districts. So, you know, they work, and I think money can be saved. And I think that, again, you can still keep that friendly competition. There's ways to do that, you know. Again, I remember when Seneca Falls and Waterloo talked about merging, and it did not work. But that's one of the big things, the rivalry, right? Well, wait a minute. Seneca Falls loves to play Waterloo. Well, you can still figure those things out, right? But unfortunately, with what we're looking at financially in New York State, we're going to be broke here. We have to find different ways to have success in the education world. And I think it's eventually going to happen, whether it's school districts merging or countywide school districts, it's going to happen.
Have people become more receptive to the idea of merging? Because I think you mentioned Seneca Falls and Waterloo, and I think that was over 15 years ago now.
It was. Yeah.
And just thinking about the attitudes that I heard then versus, you know, the reality of that conversation now. If that were to be proposed today, I don't think there would be much pushback to it, frankly. Have people cooled on some of that rivalry that did exist, or maybe it was more memorable than more recent, you know, shorter memory?
Well, it's more parents than it is kids, right?
Right,
it's
yeah.
adults, because we remember our childhood. And again, I get it, but Elmira has already done that. So Elmira Free Academy versus Southside was the biggest football game of the year, right? Mm-hmm. Now they're all one high school. So they've already merged. So I think you're seeing that happening more and more as you go across the state. But again, you know, I guess it depends on your audience that you're speaking to, yeah. Whether they're more accepting of it. But again, it's inevitable. You know, we're going to end up getting there. When parents are going to start yelling and complaining because class sizes are 30, because they can't afford more teachers, that's where you're going to start saying, okay, now we've got to do something different to get our class sizes back down to where they need. But that's what's going to eventually happen, is class sizes are going to exceed 30.
Yeah, yeah. Last question for you here. In terms of